Today we're going to talk about why nice guys and nice girls are actually not that kind after all. And I'm also saying nice girls because this is just a mentality that any person can have. So one reason is that people pleasing sometimes actually isn't that nice, because sometimes it's just used, so to speak, to get other people to like you, or because you're scared of what will happen if you're not pleasing other people. Sometimes it can be used in a very manipulative way, just because you're actually just being nice because you actually want something else in return. So if you're only nice to other people because you want other people to have a good perception of who you are, then that isn't actually kind. Being kind would be being nice to anyone just because you want to help people and because you actually care about them, and not as much about how you want to be perceived by others. So if you're just people pleasing to put on a mask so that other people would like you, that isn't kind. And even if there's like a specific person that you're totally in love with and you think that you would do everything and anything for them, and you think that that makes you a good person, I mean, wanting to give to other people definitely is a good thing, but the question is what's the motive behind wanting to give to other people? If the motive is just to get something in return, and you wouldn't do that if you didn't expect anything, if you didn't have this covert contract in your head that if I behave as well as possible, then this person is going to eventually love me. If you only do nice things because you're expecting something in return, that isn't being kind. True love would be giving to the person just because you care about them and you want them to be happy, not because you want them to fall in love with you as well. And the next reason why nice guys and nice girls actually aren't that kind is that if you think about it, this mentality that I deserve the person that I love because I am such a good person, it's actually what it is a sense of entitlement, and that can be a sign of narcissism. Now, I'm not saying that everyone that thinks that way is a narcissist, because there are lots of criteria that you have to fulfill to be a narcissist. And I think everyone has we're all, as human beings, we're all a little self-centered. So basically, to some extent, we've all got narcissistic traits. It's just that if you are at the extreme end of that, you show lots of traits of narcissistic tendencies, that then you are a narcissist. But just because you're a little self-centered doesn't make you a narcissist. I just really want to make clear that I'm not calling everyone who is just a little self-centered a narcissist, because we're all self-centered, and if that was the only criteria, we'd all be narcissists. In order to be a narcissist, you have to fulfill other criteria too, and you would have to be extremely self-centered. So yes, thinking that a specific person should love you back and that you actually deserve them to love you back, that's a sense of entitlement. But I'm not trying to say that you don't deserve love here, because if you're a decent human being, you deserve love. It's just that you can't expect that from a specific person because no one owes you anything. And everyone is supposed to and allowed to have free will, which means that it's totally fine for someone not to love you back. It doesn't make them a bad person. And then the next one would be that nice guys, nice girls can't take no for an answer. In How I Met Your Mother, there's a scene in which Robin says, "What could I possibly mean when I say no?" And it's a joke there, but she's actually really right. A no is a no. No doesn't mean try harder and eventually you might persuade me. If someone says no, you should just leave it at that and not try anymore. And respect their free will and the fact that they don't want you back. And in The Big Bang Theory, Penny also jokes in one scene that how did Leonard manage to get her, that the reason why he managed to get her is that he wore her down long enough and eventually it worked. And even though it's supposed to be funny in The Big Bang Theory, this message is actually really not good because it basically implies that this should work, that if you chase someone long enough, they will love you back. And there's just so much wrong with that, because if taken to the extreme, it's basically stalking. So it's basically a crime. So please don't think that you can somehow persuade the other person to loving you anyway or make anyone love you, because it just doesn't work. And in general, in very, very many love stories, this persistence, these tendencies to not be able to take no for an answer, are depicted as romantic because you're persisting and not giving up on love. However, it's anything but romantic because you're basically trying to control the other person and basically not allowing them to have free will. A great example of a love story in which this behaviour is depicted as romantic is The Notebook. Noah literally tries to date her, tries to convince the woman he's in love with by really not taking no for an answer at all, and even going to the extreme of threatening that he'll commit suicide if she doesn't say yes. And in this love story, because they're all so handsome and beautiful, we just completely, and because it's all put in such a romantic way, we just totally ignore the fact that this is actually extremely toxic, somehow think that it's romantic, even though it really isn't.